So there's an underlying audio recording, which is why those ones are not properly documented. It has this one. The audio might be distinct, but it won't make a difference. You got the audio is there, the video is there, you don't need to sync it again. Besides, it's a good way for us to see how this phone is doing. Então, eu não vou conseguir me lembrar que isso precisa tirar vantagem. Video and audio look very distinct, as I said. The video just happened, so just sync them. Medicine. Delay the audio, delay the video. Also notice the volume. That's the size of the speaker on this phone. They still have a picture. That's the size of the speaker. Right there. That's the maximum volume from the smash button. Yeah. I put this on the Victoria place. You got to see the face of the guy telling the employees what to do. On video. See, that's the accusation. On the dumpster country. Melhor dizendo, eu disse que ia fazer isso. Não, eu não vou conseguir me lembrar do outro dia, e isso vocês tentando tirar vantagem. Quanto ao resto, agora é hora de eu falar. Posso quanto a... Pause for stalkers. Pause for stalkers. Conhecendo o tutorial, não tem necessidade. Beautiful evidence. Continue. Era isso que eu queria no dia de Natal. Mandar pra você de volta o que você fez seus filhos molar pra comprar comida. Porque eu acho que seria uma mensagem bem clara. Não pra você, mas pra gente que vão vir. Pra pessoas de verdade que vão vir analisar o seu comportamento. O seu comportamento é algo mais chocante do que deles, né? Então, como eu disse, deixa isso bem claro, não vai ser esse dia que vai ter hoje. Infelizmente eu pensei, porque eu tenho, ao contrário de você, dos seus amigos, eu penso para resolver problemas, e não com esse tipo de mendigaria, não de dinheiro, mas mendigaria de jeito de ser gente. Então eu pensei, se eu já estou com dinheiro, é melhor usar o dinheiro. Mas o fato é, isso não vai acontecer. Eu aceitei hoje que isso não vai acontecer. Eu jogo muitas drogas em mim o tempo todo, e você, assim como eles, tira vantagem do fato de drogarem seu biológico todo dia, diversas vezes ao dia. Então eu vou fazer o seguinte, eu vou tomar nota pelo banco, e todo o dinheiro que você mandar, desde o dia que eu faço, você mandar até o dia que... o outro dia, tá? As I was standing here in the backpack, so I'm gonna pause for evidence.
So, most people will look at this, and particularly this, and have some level things, but not them. Again, beautiful evidence. If that guy hadn't happened, we got down wagon. And that's why we don't contact local press, by the way. So we also, again, have that on file. Moving forward.
E eu deixar bem claro que se você quer fazer e agradar o seu filho quando ficar ligando todo tipo de dinheiro pra comida, você sabe que você tem. Você não cagou hoje, você não foi no banheiro e cagou um pouco de dinheiro pra botar. Você não precisa pôr, não precisa botar antes. Então, você tá fazendo isso com o intuito de degradar e desumanizar o seu filho, assim como eles. Então, assim, eu vou fazer, eu vou botar, eu vou deixar pra você eu vou tudo e vou te mandar o link pra você ver. Eu também vou fazer a questão desse link de tudo bem? Então, fazer o seguinte, entra agora e o dia 2 de...
What is that?
Uma semana. Que hoje?
So what do you got to say? I don't know why it didn't show that to you. It felt to me like it was just something to distract you from the audio. That didn't interrupt you. So, continue.
Nem todo dia, por esses anos, eu tenho contato inteiro. Então, dia 2, certinho. Hoje é 2 de janeiro. E você pode mandar o dinheiro que você provavelmente tem agora. Você tem ele agora. Então você não teria muito mandado para mim. Você tem mandado constantemente com prazer em vídeo pelos tratos bancários. R$2.100 todos os meses desde fevereiro, porque em fevereiro você mandou um pouco mais, em janeiro muito mais. E no ano passado também você está ficando em hotel todo dia, atualmente, certo? Tem muito tempo que não. E se você pensa, só o hotel era mais ou menos R$100, R$3.000, mais comida, mais o resto. Então, assim, eu continuo comendo, pode ser só mais de hoje. Então, o ponto você faz o que você quiser. Mas eu não vou fazer pela fazer normalmente aqui. Só na mesma rua que eu estava, um dia eles literalmente estavam me torturando. Eu tentando conseguir fazer uma coisa que eu estava fazendo claramente porque eu tinha disputado em outubro. E eu sofri muito, isso me traumatizou ao ponto de, noite de Natal, um fator que eu decidi o que eu ia fazer. Na noite de Natal, eu quero que você saiba disso. Eu explico coisas importantes você saber antes de você morrer. Um fator principal para tomar uma decisão foi a consideração sobre ser torturado exatamente como isso no dia onde eu só fui porque você estava fazendo esse negócio. E você está tentando fazer agora de novo com dinheiro. Entendeu? Então, assim, você me diz, hoje dizendo, se você manda dinheiro, com todo o dinheiro que você mandava, você manda hoje, é uma peça muito importante, e eu não tenho como ficar, e não vou ficar. Eu tenho, mas eu não vou ficar. Mas, quer dizer, eu não tenho, porque eles interferem com o telefone, eles alteram uma série de coisas, afeta a bateria, aconteceram coisas nesse último lugar que eu não pude filmar porque eu estava tentando ligar para você. Então, assim, eu não tenho como, mas mesmo que eu tivesse como, eu não faria, porque não tem cabimento, que eu preciso estar passando por isso, então você pode mandar de conceição. Se mandar de qualquer jeito, você pode. Se está mandando, provavelmente você tem. Você quer que eu fique no dia pra mim? Aí você tem que...
Have you called them? No, it's literally taking a piss. That I think right here. Then you see. Well, you see what you see. Just want to point out that right there. So what do you call them? Do you think no one is it? So I back to delivery. So exposing with the piss, that is what they call piss twice. So you see that and you see the piss. So what it calls them is that's why. By face. Also no one actually be associated with that. Now this guy.
Explicar coisas como por que você falou essa relação gravada. Pelo amor de Deus, por que você falou, mandou isso por mensagem. O que eu mandei por mensagem foi R$30. O número 30 é a palavra reais. Eu não sei por que qualquer ser humano normal diria, pelo amor de Deus, que você mandou isso por mensagem. Mas você vai ter que explicar isso pra alguém. E todo o resto. Tudo bem? Então, tudo bem. Olha só. É isso. Você sabe o que você está fazendo, porque você é parte do crime. Então, de aqui até lá, por exemplo, agora tem estocas que eu não estou dizendo muito não, estou falando com você. Eu estou tomando conta do telefone, mas não...
Again, what do you call them? What did you start calling them?
Então, assim, no geral...
Buddy. Hello.
E qualquer coisa que você mandar entre hoje, depois, eu vou devolver... depois que eu vou mandar hoje uma vez. Qualquer coisa depois, eu vou devolver.
In the back, I was pointing before. Can I get registration so you have a proper accusation?
E ainda assim, eu continuar tudo mensalmente marcado, o que aconteceu foi, no mês que eu preciso de mais dinheiro, no mês que eu tenho que pegar as coisas em terminal, renovar as coisas em terminal, no mês que eles estão fazendo crimes mais humanos que nos outros meses, exceto tortura, de qualquer coisa, tem
Thanks, you're gonna have to go back.
Mas eu não tenho.
Deal with the shit, with the piss and shit, then we go back to deal with them. But I'm very hungry here, just gonna eat lunch. Get to get me shot by face. Not many individuals who get to do that. They get to be a part of that this way. This is going to YouTube now. By the way, I've been talking on the phone with Tania for the longest time. That's what you literally listen to, so that's very contextual. And I'm doing that for the headphones as well and on speakers. So again, no, just let them think they have something. I like it this way, right? Until criminals nice and arrogant, so it's very easy for you to see. So. Also could mark in a good way. In a way, we are doing that. Now, everybody that wants to take in a shot with piss, so be the face of piss. But, alas. And yeah, no, that's beautiful context. That one in particular, it's probably the type of thing, again, it boils down to literally the very core of this. The notion that is the rest of the world stupid, dumb, and retarded, and just as war criminal as they are, or they're not. And there's really no choice about it. So, the truth, and we are out for the most part of the truth, and the actual things matter at all. Or if that doesn't matter, it's just about how many cowheads repeat the same lie. Because that's not usually the notion of big lie is, especially not once it's caught in video. So, I mean, someone else trying to pose with this. Those individuals just saw going that way, right? Just based on the guy holding the other guy's shoulder. Okay.
Eles distraem com o telefone, eles alteram uma série de coisas, afeta a bateria, acontecendo coisas que eu tive lugar que eu não pude filmar porque eu estava tentando ligar para você. Então, assim, eu não tenho como, mas mesmo que eu tivesse como, eu não faria. Se não tem cabimento, que eu preciso passar tudo por isso, não, você pode mandar de descrição. Você mandar de qualquer jeito, você pode. Estou mandando o informe que você tem. Você quer que eu fique humilhando pedindo no seu dia? Aí você tem que explicar coisas como por que você falou uma ligação gravada por mim. Pelo amor de Deus, por que você falou, mandou isso por mensagem? O que eu mandei por mensagem foi R$30. O número 30 e a palavra reais. Eu não sei por que qualquer ser humano normal diria, pelo amor de Deus, que você mandou isso por mensagem. Mas você vai ter que explicar isso para alguém. E todo o resto. Tudo bem? Então, tudo bem. Olha só. É isso. Você sabe o que você está fazendo, porque você é parte, você é parte disso. Então, de aqui até lá, por exemplo, agora, tem estocas que eu não estou dizendo que não estou falando com você. Eu estou tomando conta do telefone, mas não com ele. Então, assim, no geral, isso não vai continuar acontecendo. Você manda o que você quer mandar hoje, e qualquer coisa que você mandar entre hoje e o dia 2, eu vou devolver depois que eu mandar hoje uma vez. Qualquer coisa depois, eu vou devolver para você. A gente continua assim, desse jeito. E ainda assim, eu continuar tudo mensalmente, sendo marcado, antes. O que aconteceu foi, no mês que eu preciso de mais dinheiro, no mês que eu tenho que pegar as coisas em terminal, renovar as coisas em terminal, no mês que eles estão fazendo crimes mais humanos do que nos outros meses, certo? Tortura, de qualquer coisa, assim. Mas eu tive até prova que eles admitindo estarem fazendo isso. Pessoas comuns, vestidas normalmente dentro do shopping, eu não tive esse tipo de conversa. Verbalmente, isso é bem significativo. Então, assim, vai ter sido um pouco menos. Mas todo o resto é tudo pior. Então, tem uso de drogas. Não, as drogas causam dor. Porque nunca precisavam causar dor. Eles queriam causar. Eles queriam ter de vontade, que foi documentado em detalhe no vídeo. Então, assim, deixar claro. Isso que você, os amigos e você acham que você é baixo de e isso vai existir. Baseado no seu comportamento. Outras coisas que você falou também no vídeo, gastar o dinheiro todo e ficar sem dinheiro. O tipo de coisa que uma pessoa diz para o filho, alguém que diz que ama, numa situação crucial como essa, onde o dinheiro é crucialmente importante, você literalmente disse uma ligação para gastar o dinheiro todo e ficar sem dinheiro, depois voltar para aí. Essa decisão que tem com o voz para ir é completamente alinhada com os criminosos aqui. Então você é uma deles. Isso está estabelecido em vídeo. A questão é, o que você vai fazer? Então é isso.
There's the same guys you saw passing going that way and then coming back, then going that way again. Let's listen to that. Because I think that what you listen there is more evidence than this. Compared to me, on the other hand, I was recording, I was talking something on the speaker, and I'm playing something to listen on the speaker. Again, of only things you get to see in this video, regardless of the precedent that they established, because they established a lot of precedent. They are still throwing drugs here. So, even now, arms crossed like this, holding the phone to my ear. Okay. See what I said before? This is not defense. I just want them to use this the way to say that was my behavior don't inspire their behavior. Their behavior is done by themselves. They saw an opportunity to get involved in this war crime and they wanted to. That fucker wanted to be taking a picture next to piss, and that's why he went there. I don't know why he did that, but that's what he did. Then he go on to be smoking next to me just to not leave any clue that he was doing that on purpose, which is very convenient. Imagine if he hadn't done that a second time. So, yeah. By the way, that in the US is assault.
Você pode mandar agora, vamos fazer isso por uma data de semana. Você quer saber agora que o telefone desapareceu a chamada. Por isso no arquivo. Na ligação, eu vou esperar para mim mesmo. Mas antes eu quero mostrar isso. I think I'd like to stop there now. Yeah. Getting the stalker video. Yeah, there's a stalker there who's happening to phone him as he thinks the entire time the stalker's Tania here and doing nothing else. Pretty important. Dr. Tania eating through the phone and call. Getting very relevant. Okay. So this direct accusation for what it's worth. And we're gonna have to deal with this in a sec. Just trying to move and to deal with her. Did they call? Did they see it? She hang up? Or it was something with the DSW was she at that time too. Everything's only partial because it's the same now. She's awesome. Okay, it's not shocking that these guys are checking. If it's doing this, she needs to fear. It's shocking that she wants that. A ligação desapareceu no telefone. Nós, foi tudo. São outros criminosos que eu sei. Pra você, parece?
Yeah, the criminals in front of me, so someone will do phone as well.
Não, peraí, repete o tempo. Eu falei que eu não sei se foram eles ou foi você. A ligação está com problema. Foi você ou foi os outros criminosos que desligaram? Uhum. Eu não falei que é uma acusação, eu falei que está estabelecido, quer dizer que foi filmado e provado em vídeo já. Não estou fazendo só acusação de nada. Aham, tudo bem. Não vou te ouvir. Eu não vou te ouvir. Tudo bem? Estamos entendidos? Então eu vou esperar você botar o negócio agora.
That one in particular, I feel weird when I said it. I think it has to do with some conditioning and some point back to some crime in the past. You notice the difference in tone? That was actually me. That was not them interfering. But I just don't know why I felt weird. I think it traces back to some crime that traumatized me in a way that stays subconsciously. It sounds very much like the language of those criminals to use, particularly violent and brutal criminals, like the ones that she was rotating and abusing me. Again, I just want you to take notice of the fact that this crime, as it is, like back home, there was this incident. I think it was about the incident when I cut the cable on the fridge. I just cut the cable on the fridge. It was a simple cable, it was a power cable, and I removed that from the fridge as a way to show something. And she called an ambulance. I was also having an argument, but I was there. And then she and the guys forced me to change clothes in front of them. It was literally there. So it happened inside my home, and Tania was perfectly cool with that. She didn't have a problem with that at all. So again, for the degradation and humanization, keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, literally that. They said I couldn't go to the bathroom to change clothes. Also threatened to violence and all other things. In uniform, by the way, as you get to see. So it might be something related to that. I don't know. I just noticed the tone in my voice. I need to emphasize, and that was not them interfering because it's so off. They could even think that they tried to change something. As far as I realized, that was not the case. It was just something that, and those things are going to be established in video already because they're very important to understand later. Yeah, that's Tania da Costa Martins. But the address in which this happened and where I was living, it was Rua Santos Moreira, 64, number 15, or another way to address is by the alley itself, which is St. Patrick's Alley, 15 in Niterói, Rio de Janeiro. This incident in particular happened after grandmother died, and they forced me against my will somewhere to leave their home in handcuffs, adding up to this crime as you see, all on Tania's account, if you understand. She could easily dismiss the disfranchisement and the things happened at that point. And for the reasons of, as I said, I was having an argument with her, and I cut a cable on the fridge. Cut a cable on the fridge. Didn't break anything, didn't hurt anyone, didn't do anything. Just that. That's strictly on health, or mental health in Niterói, by the way, for what it's worth. And that. And they recorded that, right? Because it happened in my home. So guess what? The criminals were likely stalking on it. If they are indeed stalking my home, at least in video, because there's also possibilities that they were stalking somewhere else entirely and just making things up based on what they were listening. It's complicated, I think, both. Final thing for you to understand, Tania. First off, let's finish.
Vou comentar depois.
Is it over?
Tem outros criminosos reagindo já ao que você está falando. Aqui. Outros. Sim. Mas como eu falei, tudo bem, Tania. Não é pra mim que você vai falar isso não, tá? Fala pra quem você acha que vai funcionar. Quanto ao resto? Então, tudo bem. Eu vou dar, já chegar no próximo local para comprar, como eu falei, não vou te ligar mais para fazer isso agora. Eu vou continuar te ligando esse dinheiro depois, e daí eu vou devolver o dinheiro para...
No, just come with. That's what it sounds like.
João. That's the idea. going to be exactly the same, calling every day, asking, getting the same, and then they're going to sum every single penny that she actually sent after.
I don't know what's happening, but yeah, didn't touch anything. Can you just put the phone down instead of...
Back in here, referencing what I was just saying, I'm going to mention focus. Okay, we're putting the plug on now, other patient camera. So, in the meantime, as I was finishing the lasagna, there was this board of passerbys who were saying a bunch of shit as far as I just had lasagna, literally looking at the just had lasagna, which resorts back to the stalkers that were right there, or to the phone itself. Either way, you have Tania on record saying such a thing as, sending text message, you have to send by talking. Why can I not send them out by text message? Why do I have to talk them out? And then you have this bunch of passerbys referencing what I was just talking about with her here. There's one or two options. Either one of the stalkers right there that you got to see, or the stalker right there you got to see, or some of the stalkers passing by that you got to see by face. Somehow managed to get everything.
You know from the video already, in this is explaining how the heck they have access to that type of information. Because that they were saying right here, they were strolling by right here saying, so it's just talking about that minutes earlier, sorry, this was on previous call, on Tania, time spent 10 minutes. Time spent 10 minutes, they seem to know that. So they were listening to the call, which explains why Tania wants me to say this things verbally instead of sending messages. And she says that in the video, regardless of understand who she is or what she is, and or it was one of the stalkers around you got to see, in which case is her accusation. You cannot tell which they can.
They get there by me talking. All of some of the stalkers out. And if they get there by me talking, then you have done strictly the same that their horror, and again, you can notice the tone of her voice, for sending the amounts by text instead of saying. And as I said, say is that they clear off those Tania friends.
So, yeah, I'm just getting away.
Wait a minute. The entitled attitude. So let's listen to Tania. No. Also, we got to see if there was much interference with the phone call.
And I mean this, what I just did. So look back into the beginning of this video. Which is me trying to figure out how to play her for you. So, final thing. If it's too cute, it's not. The audio is no longer cute in video. You got to listen to her phone call in here though. You heard the beginning. So just so you can listen to the responses that she gave to that point, which is important for the file, but not entirely crucial. Okay? And also you have to pay attention to criminals around me. Those are the individuals they'll be counting on 6K18, 8KB, 6K18. Saying that because the vehicle stopped parking nearby exactly in the moment that this was happening. Is it accusation? No, not really. I don't know if allowed to be. But I cannot take chances. And the fact is, this is not as serious as you heard yesterday, right? Or even other things. Basically, I'm saying, so this is the behavior of someone who just positive not being able to be documented when they just realized they've been documented. And I'd say there's a sizable change in behavior of individuals around me, don't you think? I mean, compared to what it was minutes ago. No, it could be a coincidence, so I don't want to stress that any major conclusion yet. But, yeah. Yeah, one old criminal who wouldn't understand, but other than that, just say that. Not enough time for it. Just for the record, she couldn't have breakfast because the drugs over here is full of drugs to the point that I could be eating throughout this, right? And you have to be patronizing everything. I just let me listen, but I couldn't because of some drugs and the crimes you got to see around. and imagine that those who put on puppets are put in the mouth. It happens to something that this should be a major trigger, open a video game, starting to eat anything that would ramp up my ability to document the crimes into being a major trigger for them. Which at this point is not because they're hiding. You can clearly see them explicitly in videos, so that's not an explanation. The explanation is because they want me not to eat. They realize that if they do this, they will stop what I'm doing to document their crimes. Because it matters more to me that you see what they're doing to me and they do to the actual normal part of my family than the human part of my family. And which does include the dog. Than each. So, for prioritizing my duty over something that is, some would say, a fundamental human right, you see them trying to take advantage of that to get me not to. It's tough to say the act of eating as a fundamental human right to the point where I think it takes precedence over that. It's a very unique thing. But for what is worth, so that's essentially it. Okay. Again, you see the predatory behavior of me eating, playing video games may see as entertainment, which is a fundamental part of humans, but ultimately is the way that my brain gets to cope with a lot of certain things, which is important. And again, that's what it is essentially predating to get me to not being able to heal. Now, keep in mind, they're stupid, so they might actually be doing that because they get me to go insane, and they think that's the method to do it. And again, keep in mind, those the same as in spiritual look, so think being a loony and having a mental health issue is the same thing. And besides, look at them, they're fucking gross to hell and back. You notice what they're doing? They're literally predating on the moment they stop to eat. So I will keep interrupting eating to document that as a way to affect my health. Like, did you have any questions about what you feel? Yeah, you had a criminal that posing next to piss, knowing that this will be internationally known. I was probably aware that they thinks that's going to cause some harm to me. So again, just for the record. Okay. Or it's a way to link back. Let's say that criminal or that faggot, and that's what we call faggots. That's the textbook definition of a faggot. It's an old individual that is involved in this crime. Very simple, but the disgustingness fully embodies it. And for what I was showing there, likely because it took a piss there, it was a stalker filming. He wanted me to film the place where the stalker just filmed me taking piss, the place, and you get to know. So by all means, do me a solid and get that face related to, there's a slogan for the piss fucking boys. And see how piss boys sound as good as, piss and shit? So, the face of the piss and shit. Even though that is usually when I think piss and shit is the guys from the other neighborhood where I sleep. But again, I just wanted to let you sink in for this whole thing, the idea of two things. One, haven't had breakfast yet, we eat because of the crimes for the entire process to this point. Two, following this and having to get to that, well, they actually turn drugs on me. Three, this is important, very important. Not free. No, free. Let's talk for the free. If you don't get the money, you're going to have to figure out a way to get it to actually buy the important things and if they're required to solve this. And you're going to see what it is. I cannot mention anyone here because they're going to be stalking and listening, right? But you're going to see what it is. Later, we're going to enumerate one by one what the criminal possibilities were. By the way, that's show statement, but that's it now. And most importantly, just realize this is an ending thing. They waited until father was done, and they knew that even before I did. Tania is one of them. They waited until they murdered grandmother. And until that point, to let me know, until they were sure the father will leave the hospital. And perhaps they were sure that even before they actually have been diagnosed with this. It was Santa Marta Hospital in Santa Rosa. Tania was there. They didn't bother. Tania was in perfectly good health. She's stupid. She says on record that they didn't have anything against her. She says on record that she doesn't, why for the love of Christ you just send the thing I asked you about in text message instead of verbally mentioning when you see all of them and how reactive they are to voices or anything else. And it's not several times you seem particularly reactive to things you hear. Even mentioned the word radio a couple times. Keep that in mind. For the key dehumanizations and then shock value for the whole affair. You had a child mentioning something about radio babies. You had a child saying that was looking straight at you in evidence. And I checked the evidence and the evidence available to you. On the mall, we're passing in front of bombs. Right? And you heard Tania explicitly saying you're going to compile things like get to use all your money in the most throwaway thing you can get. First off, that will never work because they don't allow me in the hotels, right? But if you could, it's the most throwaway thing you can get because you give the money for the night and that's it. That's gone. It doesn't net you anything back. You cannot sell. You cannot do anything else. So it's just literally the most easy and simple way to throw away the money. What she did is the money she received because the virtue of the time when she was still a human being, but also, you can mention the Lord if you wish, the religious person. She received 10,000 Brazilian bucks by the time we got here for what I understand compensation for something that was done to her. And she stayed here until she wasted every single coin. So she now wouldn't have a way to actually give it to me. She gave it to me. She said, she said she hated it so much, right? She says lives in poverty there. So she comes to me and says, hey, look, 10 grand, solve this, try to have a life, fix the situation for, not to mention what normal people would do, which is make sure that we remembered or the other things that. No, she stayed here with me, wasting money, and she's still going to say that it was on me because they were drugging me all the time, which she plainly denied. And she plainly denied, then you have a big problem with that theory because, well, I tell him categorically that there is no way you could not notice. If you're there, you're noticing it. And she said several parts on record saying that she's feeling absolutely nothing. So, how come? But it doesn't matter because she stayed here with me, like in hotel, going from hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel, and nothing ever getting done. I'm in constant agony. I'm suffering every day, moving those things. Looking, she couldn't be as useful as to find a practical hotel to go to. Nothing, right? Almost comedically so. And she wasted all the money. And then she asked my half brothers, which are not her children, for money in my name, without my permission, mind you. And she threw away that money too, without ever getting me to touch the money. That's important. And that's the right position. Tania da Costa Martins, I go to the address. And again, if there's any situation of this, if Tania is not in jail at the end of this for an investigation, or doing investigation, like this. Well, she remembered she refused to prepare her passport. I said, Tania, okay, just be ready because it might mean that she'll actually give you some evidence and then go there. If I cannot move, you go and you first off get yourself safe and you get your call. You just need to get your passport. That's a priority. You need that. And no, she didn't. She didn't want to do that. You see the dehumanization. You see every single thing that they did to me. Now imagine all those things done to her. Oh, they wouldn't. They never were. Because since before father died, right on before they let me know their crimes, she was already doing everything that they want. So, again, that's my theory. But you can have a different theory. Those are the facts, and they are undisputed because they're in video. So, you have a different theory where instead of that, there was another reason why she dehumanized me in the way that she did in those specific events. A couple other events when like she gave me spoiled food on purpose, then posed as a victim. She straight up lied saying that I was coercing her a couple times. There were arguments at home. One, they were throwing drugs in the air. The same drugs they're throwing here. The same drugs they're throwing here while we were in those hotels. And she explicitly said that there was nothing in the air. So I guess she came to my home. Same drugs that murdered her grandmother, my grandmother, same drugs to murder my father. Well, not really. No, not in father's case, although I'm cautious they have a role to play. Their father was killed by this. It was a disfranchisement, not the drugs, as far as I understand. I think he had a predisposition for cancer, and the fact that he did not receive the treatment, the fact that they were shipping him across the sea, those cruelties, right? They're shipping him across the bridge on rush hour, on a case of cancer patients, potentially getting. They said that he had like a 70% chance of still complete recovery, and then up to the end, they said that he was healthy enough to go home, but too sick to be treated. So, if you know anything about hospitals, even in your country, you'll know what that means. But immediately wanted him to die home. Like they took their responsibility over what they did. So again, don't just try to think. We have definitely on record those nurses and medics, and they're doing to him. They're doing a lot of cruelty to him as well. After they took their mother, I saw a grandmother. She was saying for us to stop fighting. And then she says that Tania goes into her rank and starts screaming at her, how she wasn't doing anything. It was just me. And I just stared there, and then grandmother agrees after, as it was coming. I'm quite sure that they were recording that room as well, because it's very in line for them. I was not ready for the crime happening there. Grandmother alive, I knew there were many crimes happening on that house in particular, many abuses, particularly to the vulnerable. But no, not there. And particularly to us. Nothing compared to just between us, right? Half of the family. And this family. And Tania is okay with that. She's probably enjoying it. So, I mean what I said about the money. Even if it leads me to starve, even if it leads me to be in a tough position, I will find out all the money that she has that she has sent me today. I wait for her to send the actual amount that I asked. Like, I'm not going to send anything. After that, every single penny from today to the second will be, unless it's a buckload, I cannot afford to do that. I wish I could, but I cannot. But every single, that's the thing, I don't have a problem with the buckload. That's the issue. I want to send the money per month. She just won't do that. She wants me to call her back money. She keeps most important to be calling her so they can trace how much money I have and how much money I use in the West. That's the point. And I think it's just dehumanization. That's certainly one of the factors, but it's not the only factor. So that's the point, okay? And I'm just wanting to send the same money she's going to send anyway, and one load instead of separate, with me having to call her. Where they can interrupt the call if they want to, where they can fuck up the call if they want to, and they can make it, do all sorts of things, right? And you see the point. As you can see who Tania really is. And the whole thing that they're gaining is that best is to get me to delay a bit more. But that's the thing, also you think. In practice, the major point is they don't want me to organize. You have to plan ahead and to actually get in condition to solve this. They want me lingering day by day until they think I'm going to give up, because they have given up ages ago. This level of relentless refusal to quit, which you be seeing the way that I know you see, right? For them, it's just stubbornness. For them, it's just not being able to see how this river flows or how the things go. This one man resistance is, for them, something that is so incomprehensible that they just see that stupidity. No shit, no nothing else, just dumb. As they say, you hear them saying that with their own mouth, their horse's mouth. And that's what this culture is. That's the point you have to understand. For what you're seeing right now. And that. So, again. But there we heard already. Today we are concentrating on Tania, because there's so much about Tania's crimes that happen in Terói that is actually about truth. You already know things that she'll be accusing me of. And for the arguments I have with her, and things like I did, throwing things on the ground, clothes in particular, they're very breakable, to people off on the floor, for her to have to put it back in the license somewhere. Now compare that to what she's subjecting me to, as well as the phones potentially throwing there on the floor, and a couple other things. I said I was not going to dive on that here because I'm not just find myself to down. But and cutting cables on the phone, I cut cable on the fridge, you know. You can see how much cost in that cable. So if you're in Mexico in Japan, that's Republic, you should amount the cost. So be like how much it costs to replace, including with the overprice, because she'll pay them charging $100 to fix a cable, and she'll pay that with not a blink of an eye, on a blink of an eye without two thoughts, right? She's gonna say, you're trying to exploit me, trying to take advantage of me, and anything like that. But she would accuse me of cutting a cable on the spot. Okay, even though that they can still allege that happening before, as we always do. And that is with extreme dosage of drugs, much like you see happening here, different in the end. The same house where she lingers every single day. She does what she return to, and I don't want to because I don't want to go back to that. I would rather die, in fact. And as you hear, okay? And by the way, I just looking at that, I'm feeling so thirsty and hungry because again, it's 2 who didn't have breakfast. But prioritizing the evidence, my duty over there. Again, just eat. Just eat. Instead of doing that crime. So continue. As far as and I know it doesn't sound particularly charming to point out the things you're doing, but I'm not trying to be charming, even though if they're not going to murder me before the end, I mean, they think just the amount there. There's nothing for you to the faces, and those faces and the crimes that they do, been known to you and the rest of the world, both. So you know that, and also, so we're remembered for kind of as victims of what we did. So, and that we live, basically. Anyways, that is different issue. And I suppose that the reason for what will happen to me if I was not doing anything that I don't expect. So what influence? All of that. And every day, just wake up and I want to leave that place. But just like I feel now, just like on Justin's place there, yesterday, and the day before, like today I said they left now because if I had eaten breakfast there, then I wouldn't leave until afternoon. It was just like that. And because it was a house, it was enclosed, there was not much of that. Day after day, day after day. No end. Then the top of now, another new year, and that just, and I didn't know about any of those kinds of things. This stuff comes back, I just sit this far, this struck again. And I just wanted to let you end, right? Even thought about extreme things. It's funny, as I mentioned before, this crime just completely erased the possibility. Just wait for them to give the jigsaw kill argument, how they somehow help Boy with so much money. They're gonna say that shit face. They'll be such a good working thing, and they might because it's so stupid. They might. But I don't have such high hopes. Instead, I know that they're gonna fall like gravel and trash. So every time you are something. Help for that dollar alone, let alone when you're touching something on the line. So I'm gonna actually just put maybe very good if that's your face. As I was saying, that's what they think we should at this point. But as I was saying that day after day, you know. And to me, that was hell. It comes fun now, right? Because I had been in university before, and I was best student class, and I was doing other things. And I even thought I had friends. But now, not the case, because he's already potentially partially involved in this crime. Not quite sure. But that's relevant. I never thought I liked routine, whole things, but I was kind of enjoying the emotion of one day after the other and hating things, you know? That's a better way. But then those crimes that I understand that started happening, change shape. And I wanted to trace back things that they referenced. They got a couple things that they referenced they back to high school. I even like university. So as this was happening much longer than I expected. or you have some of the criminals who are involved in this early on being related to their high school. I studied on Salesianos, Santa Rosa, is a Catholic school. I studied for free because I had, low income scholarship. I mean, never rich. And Tania, well, yeah, there was a different Tania before. She would fight for me, help. She was fought for me to be able to get into university against the school for the longest time. You mentioned the story, and they have all teachers on the 26th, just like today, December, going to class. Not all of them, for understand. Some of them had no problem with me being approved anyway. They said, hey, look, you passed university. What are you doing here? That's the purpose. That's the purpose here. Most of those boys didn't get to university. He's there. Let him go. Why are you trying to hold him back? And level of fatness, and you may have heard that before. I don't actually, not present there, but I imagine based on their personality that's mostly what they were saying. Some of them need someone at least talk to me later. And I found it because I kept close watching the school. I was a bit skeptical, but then I actually just man up and thanked him. And for what it's worth, because again, and so again, for the situation is, and same logic happened in university, except without the downside. In university was just also something like that. Like, hey, look, this is that's the grade. A purpose here to teach you. And you prove us to us that you learn what you learn. I don't really care all that much if you're being present or not. Again, I don't like the sound of my voice that much. You don't need an audience. If you learn, you have to learn. I did my job. And you see the difference in comparison to that to all the patchiness you see all the time, right? So, just a hint, those are both exact science teachers. So I'm not leaving that because it's way too serious. But my brain just needs a comic relief. So it's like a better. So, for the rest, I was cool back home many times. Nothing compared to what you see now, though. And that's the thing. For what is worth, all those things were spontaneous. None of that was planned. There was no, at any point, wake up actually setting something up to happen. I just sit in doing it here, the level of premeditation, the key point to understand. And I'm not comparing the two. That's a separate thing. Even if they argue that was a crime, and I'm simply not debating that under them. And clearly are seeing it. Simply not doing that here. But even if it was, even if everything that they say is true, even if the best case scenario for them, there's two separate crimes and maybe treated separately by the law, and that looks all too much in the way. And that's what ought to happen. And with you, I get to see. But the things we get to witness, So, listen. And I want you to actually think the idea that Tania knew about this crime, they knew about them stalking in our home. She was saying those things that you can hear her saying, and you can understand that, knowing that they were throwing drugs in the actual fact the way that I'll be thinking, and then stalking our home. See, this is why I don't have those ideas. It's too much change. I prefer to document the crimes and let you conclude by yourself. Don't need my patronizing you, holding your hand for that. The first accusation they make, they think you're going to take their word for it because they're many. They're going to tell them to go fuck themselves and see what you saw that. And you're going to watch through that. That's what I imagine you're going to do. You're not going to take my word or their word. You're going to watch that from sure you authenticate, because they have the reputation of tampering with evidence. And once you authenticate and you see what is actually true and is not true and is ambiguous, and take the solid basis, you're going to conclude something and move forward. So don't think I get to patronize you to go hold your hands to the problem. I can just show it to you and let you see. I can just, I don't need to show it to you. You're going to see that for yourself. There's no way you're going to ignore what happened back home or not want you to see that. In no way you're going to take anyone's word for it without authenticating and making sure it's true, because it turns out it's much better for you than it isn't. As far as press goes, right? They have been dealing with people that is always aligned with their interests, the lie. But you don't want the lie, not only for ethical reasons, especially because, as you saw there, I don't trust local press for a reason. So so there'll be a lot of scrutiny, no matter what, even in my way of view, but as you know, but honestly, everyone else. And so not just for ethical reasons, which is already overcharged in this particular case, given that they can't with everything, so credibility is already an issue in dispute. The thing is, you have the general, it's far more convenient for any present news service that this is indeed what I'm describing than the lie. So again, they have been dealing all these points with individuals who want the lie to be true because the best case scenario for them, except for you. You were exactly the opposite. Which is, as I said, they're having their heads stuck up all the way up. Somewhat convenient. I would say, well, you mentioned, yeah, no, I don't know if that's a good idea. I was in the house for the longest time. But you also get to see that reaction, because they don't have two modes in the thing. Okay? They can try to reshape the entire approach to this, which that would count for them. If they actually do the right thing, even now we will count. Do you think they're going to do that? Because there are a couple of people who did. I'm not going to mention that and didn't reference them in any way because we want to expose them to the criminals. But I can tell you, more than one time, yeah, not much, but more than one time there were individuals who did. And that method, and I was very discreet about it because, again, I don't want to expose any of this to them, the other criminals, but they did. So when I tell you that it's not literally everyone, I can tell you with excellent critical knowledge to understand that. But that being said, this still doesn't change what I said because it's virtually everyone, meaning it's not a bunch of criminals doing a crime, which most people are not aware, and some people perhaps trying to help. It's everybody virtually either doing a crime or turning a blind eye into it and helping in minor ways whenever possible, with literally unconsiderable amount of people potentially trying to help, or most importantly, a few minority actually just neutral to it. So it matters. At the end of the day, she has good basis. What it is, again, correct. And again, but for what it's worth, I did have that, and I think that's fine. I'm gonna try my best to keep it discreet because I don't want anyone to notice how not referencing anywhere where it happened. It wasn't today, it wasn't any of the recent days. I'm not mentioning anything else, okay? Just so you know. So yeah, it was reassuring, for sure. The notion that what I'd say to the world was surprising. Well, what Tania did was way worse than just nothing. And I mean facing a radio and it's not that, right? You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that she does exactly what they want because she wants to. She's not a reluctant person. Like, can you imagine many collaborators in like World War II? And you have the two types of collaborators. And you have collaborators who just did the minimum they had to make sure that the people were not being brutalized. And you have collaborators who actually, you can arguably say are collaborators or not. But you have people who actually wanted to help. And Tania wants to help. So, she did literally everything that they are. But how degrading and humanizing it is for me. I'm not sure about that. I have to get you to listen to her thing. But notice the entitled attitude in the end. I will not listen to you. The first one that she said was not accusations. That was the second one. The first one was desaforo. That means basically insult, or lashing, or stuff like that. And you got to listen to what I was saying, so you know what she interpreted as that. Because you got to listen to the words on me, to be my actual words. And I'm testifying that's what she said. I heard that on fire. I'm not going to be listening to... I think you get to hear that too. So there's that. And that's how, yeah, 59 minutes and 2 seconds. I don't want this to turn to anyone, so we're going to stop here the 26th of December. If you had a Merry Christmas, you saw mine. And for what it's worth, it's the crimes, what was supposed to happen. I've been showcasing criminals all around. At this point, we have this so trunk history staring at me as it was passing, and all the other things. She hadn't had breakfast, she had tried the things here. There's no point having breakfast here. Too many crimes happened in this street before. They put a lot of drugs in here. The second I look away, you see how many happened with me filming. Right there.